Hello and welcome to this week's Women's Football Chat. My name is Chris Gadsby. I'm here every Thursday at 6 p.m. bringing you the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League. Now, we've got plenty to talk about this week. We've got some league fixtures, some cup fixtures. We've got the FA Cup coming up. And, of course, we've had another cup draw, but more on that later. So before we get too far into it, we've got a little bit of news to go through. Now, this is news that actually came out the week before last, but I missed it off last week's show accidentally. And that is that we have some FAWNL representation in the England Women's Professional Development Phase squad. For fixtures in November and a trip to Portugal. So I'll run through some of them. If I miss one out, I do apologise, but I think I have got them all. So we've got midfielder Sarah Bracero from Ipswich Town. We've also got Abby Lloyden from West Bromwich Albion. We've got Mackenzie Smith from Nottingham Forest on a dual contract with Leicester City. We've got three midfielders in there. We've got Kira Barry, who's with Manchester United, but a dual contract with Derby County. And Freya Godfrey, who's with Ipswich Town and on a dual contract with Arsenal. So 5 players from the FAWNL in the England Development Phase squad. We wish them all the best for their upcoming fixtures. Right, let's go through then the results from the past 7 days in the FA Women's National League. It's a bit of a reduced schedule because a lot of the games were actually in the cup or postponed because of the horrendous weather we had the week before. We had something like 7 cup ties left to be played. Well, that's 14 teams. And for the majority of them, that also, of course, takes out the other team because they can't play them. So that's 28 teams that were kind of out of action, really. So it is a bit of a reduced schedule, but we will go through it all as we always do. We're going to start in Tier 3. Now, Tier 3 was unaffected by this. Of course, we had the FA Cup pulled forward as well. So there was a lot of fixtures not able to be played. But we'll go then with the Northern Premier Division. Bournemouth St Michael's 3, AFC Fylde 0. Goals in this one, of course, all coming to Bournemouth St Michael's. And full-time does not want to play ball today. Is this going to be the situation that we've got on the Women's Football Chat this week, where full-time just doesn't want to play ball for me? But yeah, Bournemouth Michael's 3, AFC Fylde 0. Now it works for me. Evie Billingsley, Lois Jeffries and Philippa Wilson with the goals for Bournemouth St Michael's. Have really hit some form in the recent weeks. Liverpool Feds 0, Burnley 7. 2 goals for Millie Grace Ravening, 5th and 58th minute. Elizabeth Hamer in the 47th minute. Leah Jade Embley in the 63rd minute. Sarah Greenhalgh in the 87th minute. That's 5 out of the 7. There was also a penalty for Millie Grace Ravening, so a hat-trick for her, and an opposition own goal in the 81st minute. Burnley winning by 7 goals to 0. Loughborough Lightning 0, Huddersfield Town 2. Bethany Ibbotson in the 30th minute and Kate Mallin in the 53rd minute. The 2 goals for Huddersfield. Nottingham Forest winning by 5 goals to 0 away at Stoke City. 37th minute Charlotte Steggles. 40th minute Sophie Domingo. 74th and 78th minute Yasmin Mosby. And 89th minute Olivia Cook for the convincing victory for Forest. West Bromwich Albion 1, Derby County 3. Mariam Mahmood with the goal for West Bromwich Albion, but Derby the 3-1 winners. Amy Sims in the 40th minute. Jessica Canwell in the 49th minute. And Kira Ray in the 87th minute. That game was played at the Hawthorns. The Derby winning this time away in a men's stadium. Wolverhampton Wanderers 2, Brighouse Town 0. Wolves beat Brighouse for the second time in 2 weeks. Beth Merrick opened the scoring in the first minute. Amber Hughes in the 28th minute made it 2-0 to Wolves, and that is how it finished. What it means for the table is that there's quite a bit of movement in midfield, but not so much at the top. So the top four are all the same. So Wolverhampton Wanderers 3 points clear of Forest, but Forest have a game in hand. Now the crucial thing from this weekend is that Forest gained 3 goals in the goal difference over Wolves. They're now just 1 goal behind them. Now, if Forest, of course, were to win their game in hand and get level on points with Wolves, they were automatically, therefore, going to be the same goal difference at least, because they have to have got 1 goal to pull level and get the victory. Now, Forest currently have scored 1 less goal than Wolves, which of course would also be cancelled out at least. So it is really close between those two sides at the minute as to who would be top of the table. Of course, anything more than 1 goal for Forest in that game in hand would put them top on goals scored, even if the goal difference is the same. So Burnley in 3rd, Huddersfield in 4th. Derby are up up 2 places. Into 5th. Stoke City and AFC Fylde down a place into 6th and 7th. Bournemouth St Michael's up 3 places with that victory. It is very tight at the bottom. They're now on 9 points. Liverpool, Feds, West Bromwich Albion and Brighouse Town all drop a place. And then we've still got Loughborough Lightning at the bottom on just 1 point. They're now already 8 points adrift from the safety in the Northern Premier Division. Results in the Southern Premier Division then. Now this one was affected quite a bit because of the rain we had a few weeks ago. Again, as I said, pushed all these cup games back. So what we're going to do then is we're going to look at the 2 games that took place at the weekend and the one that took place on Tuesday. We're going to start with Crawley against Portsmouth. Portsmouth winning by 3-0. Emma Jones in the 29th minute, Jasmine Younger in the 35th minute, and Sophie Quirk in the 49th minute. So 3-0. Portsmouth beating Crawley by, and Oxford beating Gillingham by just the 1-0. Carly Johns in the 12th minute getting the only goal of the game. And then one game on Tuesday between Crawley and Gillingham. So both those sides have had 2 game weeks. A 1-1 draw in this. Goal for Gillingham coming to Kalani Pert. And no idea who the Crawley Wasps goal was. It's not on the system, and it just goes back again to me saying that full-time is incredibly flawed. What that means then for the table is not a lot of change. Oxford United have gone above Watford at the top of the table by 2 points because of Watford not playing and Oxford winning. But Watford do have a game in hand, so they could retake that top spot if they are to win that game in hand. There are no other changes in the Southern Premier Division because Gillingham drawing with Crawley on Tuesday night means they both gain an extra point but stay where they are. So Gillingham are still in 7th on 11 points. Crawley Wasps are still bottom of the table on 3 points. They are 4 points away from safety. But if you look at the Southern Premier Division table, you'll see Crawley have played 10. Milton Keynes Dons, who are currently in that final safe spot, have only played 6. Plymouth have played 9, Bridgewater 9, London Bees 8. So it is possible that that gap increases to 6 points by the time that everybody has played the games in hand over Crawley. So Crawley having a tricky time of it. Don't forget they are now only 1 game away as well from having played half of their season. Division 1 Midlands results, then we are kind of racing through these a bit because there's plenty to talk about in the second half of the show. League Town 1, Sporting Cows are 3, the only game in Division 1 Midlands. Sporting Cows are 2-1 up at half-time in this one. Molly Wright in the 11th minute, Stephanie Weston in the 21st minute put them 2-0 in front. Katie Meyer got one back 7 minutes before the break to make it 2-1. But Isabel Austin Short in the 67th minute restored the 2-goal advantage for Sporting Cows and made it 3-1 to them. and they take the 3 points. What it means for the table, they jump from 4th to 2nd. They're now on 16 points. They're 8 points behind Stourbridge at the top of the table. They do have 1 game in hand, so that could get reduced down to 5. Doncaster Rovers Bells drop to 3rd, and Solihull Moors drop to 4th. Leek Town remain in 8th spot, and they are 3 points clear of the drop zone, but Northampton Town do have a game in hand. Obviously, the rest of the table, with only 1 game going on, remains the same. Division 1 North then, more to talk about here. From Plenty More League fixtures, it seems that it was the South that was much more heavily affected by that weather, which means that all of the fixtures in the Cup in the North got played, so they could play the league games as they were meant to. Barnsley 1, Middlesbrough 0. Amy Lee Barringham-Beck with the only goal of the game for Barnsley. Chorley and Hull City was called off due to a waterlogged pitch. Durham Sestra beat Leeds United 1-0 away from home. Sarah Byrne in the 22nd minute with the only goal of the game. And it was the same scoreline between Bradford City and Norton Stockton Ancients. Charlotte Stewart giving the away side the victory. Stockport County with a 1-1 draw with Merseyrail. Charlotte Tyres getting the Merseyrail goal away from home. She came on as a substitute in the 65th minute, but a 90th minute goal for Levy Rathburn gave Stockport County a point. And finally, York City 1, Newcastle United 2. Alice Hughes in the 11th minute getting the only goal for York City, but 1 for Georgia Gibson and Casey Elson meant Newcastle United came away with the 3 points. What it means for the table is that Newcastle United go back to the top. They're on 19 points. Durham Sestra are in 2nd on 17. Leeds United drop a couple of places down to 3rd on 16 points. And the bottom 2 have swapped. Bradford City and Chorley have swapped places, and they're on 6 and 5 points respectively. Division 1 South West, then, there was only supposed to be 1 game, Ashford Town against Norwich City, but that was unfortunately postponed, so there's nothing to change in the league table. We'll move to South West, where there was just 1 game, Larkhall Athletic 4, AFC St Austell 1. Mia Brain in the 31st minute, there's a missing goal on here as well. Opposition own goal from AFC St Austell in the 3rd minute opened the scoring. Then Mia Brain in the 31st minute made it 2-0 to Larkhall. It was then 3-0 when Emily Arrell got one in the 57th minute. And then she got her 2nd of the game in the 61st minute to get their 4th. And they were 4-0 up. Kelly Vinicombe comes off the substitutes bench in the 65th minute and she scores a goal for AFC St Austell. But it finishes 4-1. What that means for the table is down there towards the bottom. So Larkhall Athletic, who hadn't got off the mark yet this season, now have. They are on 3 points and moved themselves out of the relegation zone. However, they have played more games than anybody else in the league. If you look at Mainhead United, for example, they're only 3 points behind them, but they've got 5 games in hand. AFC St Austell have got 3 games in hand. Portishead and Keynsham Town, who are above them, have also got a couple of games in hand. So it could really start to stretch that gap and turn into kind of 2 of those bottom 3 are going down. But relegation is much easier to start having a look at when we get to kind of the end of January, February time in this show. Right, let's move on, and we've got cup fixtures to talk about. We have the games that weren't able to take place when the cup should have happened last week. These were able to take place, well, most of them anyway, this week. So, Watford beat Wimbledon. This is in the FAWNL Cup, by the way. Watford beat Wimbledon by 1-0 after extra time, and it was in the last minute of extra time as well. Grace Garrard getting Watford's goal to get them past Wimbledon. Great effort from Wimbledon to hold Watford for 120 minutes in that one, or 119 minutes rather, should I say. Watford just getting the goal right at the end of extra time. Exeter City beat London Bees by 3-2. They were 3-1 up at half-time. Jenna Markham in the 6th minute. Zoe Watkins 21st and Sarah Stacey 24th. Danielle Puddlefoot getting their London Bees' goal in the first half. Taylor O'Leary, after coming on in the first minute of the second half, got their goal in the second half. But Exeter City are the ones that progress in the Cup. And hashtag United, great result for them. They beat Ipswich Town by 2-0. Samantha Rowland in the 23rd minute and Grace Gilliard in the 50th minute knock Ipswich out of the Cup. London Stewart against Plymouth Argyle was once again a victim of the weather. In the plate, we had 6 fixtures to go through, but 2 of them fell foul of the weather. That's Hounslow against Southampton Women's and Queen's Park Rangers against Portishead Town. So in the plate then, we've got Cambridge United beating Cambridge City by 4-0. 2 for Sarah Wiltshire, 1 for Gisela Otten and 1 for Libby Fraser, getting Cambridge United through in the Battle of Cambridge. Northampton 3, Lincoln City 2. Back and forth game, this one really. Alexandra Dix in the 23rd minute had Northampton 1-0 up by half time. But then there were really some quick fire goals in there. Abigail Ringrose pulls Lincoln level in the 65th minute. Then Beth Artimau puts Northampton back in front in the 70th minute. Lucy Farrow equalises again in the 75th minute. But then Favour Amanazu puts Northampton back in front 3-2 in the 78th minute. It was then made harder for Lincoln when they lost Tilly Phantom 5 minutes from time to a red card. So Northampton through in the plate. Peterborough United comfortably through against Wem Town. They win by 5-0. A brace for Jessica Driscoll in the 42nd and 63rd minute. A brace for Keir Perkins, 54th and 76th minute. And 1 for Tara Kirk in the 82nd minute. Puts Peterborough United 5-0 up and through to the round of 16 in the plate. And it needed extra time, but Stourbridge are through as well. A 2-1 victory over Leafield Athletic. Sarah Hazel getting the opening goal for Stourbridge before Catherine Pagan equalised 20 minutes from time for Leafield Athletic. 3 minutes towards the end of extra time, though, Lindsay Glover in the 117th minute put Stourbridge back in front. They were able to hold on to that 1-goal lead, and they are through to the round of 16 of the FAWNL plate. Speaking of the cup and the plate, we had the draw. Yay! Right. What's the best way of going about this? I'm not going to go through, once again, the issue with the draw not being videoed. I've done all that. I only did it about 3 weeks ago. I've shown how easy it is to video the draws. We know people want the draws, etc., etc. The problem I've got this time around, and that many other people have had, is the way that the draw was presented this time around. Now, in order to get this right, I've drawn up a bit of a timeline so that you can understand how my day went when the draw was announced. So, at 9:11, this would have been on Tuesday, wouldn't it? Tuesday. At 9:11, I learnt that the clubs had the draw for the round of 16 or regional quarterfinals, whatever you want to call them, of the cup and the plate competition, and that it was going to be released at midday. Then at 10:45, the league announced on their Twitter that it was going to be announced at midday. Then at midday, the league published the draw, but not all of the information was there. And I can see on full time now that still not all of the information is there. And I'll explain what I mean by that. The link from the FAWNL Twitter took you to the fixture page for the cup. And there are 8 fixtures currently on the screen for the cup. I was looking at the plate there, but it's the same thing. There's 8 fixtures on there for the cup. And this caught a couple of people out who then published, here's the draw, when it wasn't actually the draw. So if you were to go on full time and you go on the cup and you see there are 8 fixtures, you think, right, those are the teams through into the second round, but it's not. Because there are some teams that are missing from that draw. In the cup, it's Cardiff who are missing, and in the plate, it's Billericay and Swindon. Now, the reason they are missing is because what that screen doesn't tell you is that one of the cup games and two of the plate games that are in that fixture list and on the same day in some of the cases, I know not all of them, that they are first round games that didn't get played. But they look as though they're second round games. So myself and a couple of other people were then scouring previous results, trying to find out which teams are missing, going on other tabs on the full-time website. If you go on the home tab and you go on FAWNL Cup on the far right-hand side, you are able to see the bracket and you are able to scroll all the way to the bottom to find out that Cardiff are missing and they're away to London Seaward against Plymouth. And it's a similar situation in the plate. You are able to find it, but you've got to really go looking for it. So that's what happened at midday. I then spent 8-9 minutes or so. I was able to find out what happened. And then at 12:10 on Tuesday, so 10 minutes after the initial draw had been put out, the league puts out two graphics, one for the cup, one for the plate, which shows not only the fixtures, but also the OR fixtures for the first round ties that haven't been played. And it explains on the graphic when those first round ties are going to be played. Now, I have no issue at all. Let me get this clear. I have no issue at all with the graphics that went out at 12:10. They tell you everything you need to know. They tell you when the games are going to be played, when the first round games are going to be played, who's playing who, what the OR fixtures are, who's at home, who's away, everything. Those graphics are fine. Nothing wrong with them. The problem I have is that if the teams found out the draw at 9 o'clock that morning, the league knew the draw at 9 o'clock that morning. You're not telling me that by midday, those graphics that told you everything you needed to know weren't ready. And that by in the 10 minutes between midday and 12:10, those graphics were quickly made and very quickly made. That's not the case. Those graphics would have been ready. I'm 99% sure those graphics were ready because there was a lot of there's a lot of information in there. You've got not only the first round ties, you've got to drag in the 16 teams. You've got to make the diagonal slash for the other teams that are in there. Now, I make very similar graphics for the BBC, so I know how long this sort of thing takes. Those graphics would have been ready. So just put those graphics out at 12 o'clock rather than a link to a site that only gives you 80% of the information. Just give us all the information rather than waiting for 10 minutes because everybody's going to be going straight on and trying to find it and going, well, where's my team? I'm sure they won. So just tell us all of the information from the start. We had one thing on the midday announcement. There was somebody who put in, who are Swindon playing in the plate? And then he says he found it later at 12:15. It took him a long time to find that information. Make it easy. Also, video the draws. But go back to my episode that's actually titled Video the Draws to hear my rant about that because I'm not going into all that again. I'm not going through it. It's just going to be the same information on your ears and, saving my voice. It's all out there already. And I've said it before and I've shown you how easy on 8 or 9 occasions now, how easy a draw is. So I don't really know what else we can suggest. The league said and told me over summer, we're looking at ways to publicise the draws. They've obviously decided that the way they're doing it, with only 80% of the information initially and no video and all the rest of it, is the right way to do it. there's only so much that, so many times that the rest of us can offer help to the league. Anyway, rant over. Let's have a look at the fixtures coming up then in the FAWNL. There isn't many. I will grant you that there is not many. We'll start in Division 1 South East. There's one. Cambridge City, who are in 10th, play Hounslow, who are in 11th. So Cambridge City, second bottom of the table. Hounslow, bottom of the table. Hounslow yet to score a point this season. Cambridge City with just the one win. If they do beat Hounslow, then they will go up to 8th and have a 6-point gap to that one relegation spot. And one game in Division 1 South West, where AFC St Austell take on Maidenhead United. That's the bottom two as well, and they both have 0 points so far this season. So one of those sides, or both of those sides, will be off the mark come the end of Sunday. Right then, the reason that there are very few, or in fact only 2 games in the FAWNL this weekend, is that the vast majority of teams are involved in the FA Cup first round. That's this weekend. The Tier 3 sides have entered the competition. So we have 44 ties to tell you throughout the FAWNL. That involve the WNL sides. There are 12 teams that are guaranteed from 5th tier or below to be in the second round draw, because there are ties that involve no FAWNL sides. And of course, we could get some shocks in here as well. So we'll go through all of these that involve an FAWNL side. So it's still regionalised at this point as well, by the way. Fleetwood Town Wrens against 3rd tier Liverpool Feds. All Division 1 North tie between Norton Stockton Ancients and Durham Sestra, and an all Division 1 North tie between Middlesbrough and Bradford City. Stockport County host 6th tier Penrith AFC. FC United of Manchester, who went down last season, host Merseyrail, who came up last season. Doncaster Rovers Bells host Huddersfield Town of the 3rd tier. Leeds United against Brighouse Town as well. That's 4th tier against 3rd tier. And 5th tier Darwin take on 4th tier Barnsley. Hull City against Newcastle United. That's an all Division 1 North tie. Cheadle Stingers host York City. Alnwick Town of the 5th tier host AFC Fylde of Tier 3. Tranmere Rovers host Burnley of Tier 3 as well. So 2 Tier 5 sides taking on Tier 3 sides there. West Bromwich Albion of the Northern Premier Division will host Crewe Alexandra of the 5th tier. Sporting Cowser will host Boldmere St Michael's. And Ortbridge War Memorial of the 5th tier host 3rd tier Nottingham Forest. And Peterborough United take on Stourbridge, and that's in the FA Cup. Then those two sides also play each other in the plate in about a month's time. Sutton Coldfield Town against Leafield Athletic. Shrewsbury Town host top of the Northern Premier Division Wolverhampton Wanderers. Loughborough Lightning take on Sheffield. Lytown against Wem Town, that's 5th tier against 4th tier. We've got an all Northern Premier Division tie between Stoke City and Derby County. Billericay Town host Kings Lynn Town. Royston Town against London Seaward. Norwich City against Enfield Town, that's 4th tier against 5th tier. Colney Heath against #United. Milton Keynes Dons of the 3rd tier host 7th tier Mulbarton Wanderers, one of only 2 7th tier sides remaining in the competition. Luton Town of the 5th tier host Ipswich Town of the 3rd. Watford against Fulham, that's 3rd tier against 5th. Abingdon Town take on Portsmouth. Moneyfields against Crawley Wasps. Ebbsfleet United host Southampton Women's. And 6th tier AFC Stoneham take on Actonians. Chelsea face AFC Wimbledon. That's an all 4th tier clash. Millwall Lionesses of the 5th tier will host Gillingham of Tier 3. Top of the Southern Premier Division, Oxford United host 4th tier Chesham United. Hackney Women's of the 6th tier have to try and overcome 3rd tier London Bees. Swindon Town Women host Frampton Rangers of Tier 6. Portishead Town against Eastleigh in the Community. Exeter City and AFC Bournemouth have an all Division 1 South West tie. Cardiff City of Division 1 South West host Bridgewater United. of the third tier. Weymouth take on Keynsham Town. That's 6th tier against 4th tier. And Plymouth Argyle against Cheltenham Town, 3rd against 4th. Sedgley and Gornal United against Solihull Moors, that's 6th tier against 4th tier. And Northampton Town against Dronfield Town is 4th tier against 6th tier after Lincoln United were removed from the competition after what they call a administrative error. Well, that's the FA Cup draw taking place this weekend. So that is taking place on the 13th of November. Then next week, we've got some league, some county cup. Of course, there may be as well some FA Cup, depending on how the weather looks. 27th is FA Cup round 2. So you haven't got long to wait between getting the first and the second rounds underway, because the 11th of December is FA Cup round 3. They really trim the teams down as much as they can early on in the competition this year. So plenty of cup action to come. Of course, that means the league stalls somewhat. So we will have some shorter shows a bit. Hopefully, I'll get a few guests on over the course of the World Cup as well. I'll see how that goes. A couple of people that have said they want to go on, just waiting for the World Cup to start, work to kind of quieten down a little bit. And then I'll have more time to do some interviews. But thank you very much for watching and or listening this week's Women's Football Chat. As always, keep supporting your local women's football team. If you'd like to get involved in the show, you can leave a comment down below if you're watching the YouTube version, or get in touch on Twitter at Chris_Gadsby. Thank you very much for watching and or listening, and goodbye.